Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually telling me that you were an oops baby. I'll go first. All three of my older siblings have a first name that start with the same letter. Mine is different. They were all born 2 years apart. I came out 7 years later. 3 months after I was born, my parents got divorced. Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually telling me.
Yeah, not me, but my youngest brother. There is an 18-year age difference between us. See, after my mom had my oldest younger brother, the doctors told her that she could not have any more kids. So for 10 years, my parents didn't use anything. Right before my senior year started, they got pregnant. So my mom was pregnant my entire senior year, so I had a lot of guilt experiences. Basically, my parents felt so guilty that my mom was pregnant my entire senior year that I didn't get to have a lot of the same experiences that everybody else. Especially because of her age, she was on bed rest for the second half of her pregnancy. I love my brother, but it was weird. It's weird. I'm like a second mom. He was also born 2 days before my senior prom. So I have prom pictures in the maternity wing of the hospital.
Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually telling me.
All right, so my parents were actually trying for another baby. They had already had two. So my mom gets pregnant. It comes time for her to go get the ultrasound done. She invites my dad along, and he's like, you know, you've seen one, you've seen them all. So she goes up to the hospital by herself. She's getting the ultrasound done, and the doctors are taking a lot longer than normal. And they start inviting other people into the room to kind of look at what's going on the ultrasound. My mom's getting worried and concerned, so they end up telling her, you know, what's going on. So she heads back to the house after the ultrasound and hands my dad several ultrasound pictures. My dad comments with, "Oh, they're getting pretty generous." And my mom's like, "Yeah, that's 4 separate babies."
Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually
My mom and dad are brother and sister. Yeah, my grandparents were Baptist. Sex was not talked about in the house unless you were 18 or had a significant other. My mom was older than my dad, so she was talked about about sex. My dad wasn't. Well, my mom told my dad, let's go play a game. She knew what sex was, he didn't. I don't know what game they played, but one thing led to another, and I was created. My mom denies it to this day, but my dad has showed me proof that I am his child. I don't like that I am an incest child, but I have come to terms with it, and we already confirmed.
tell me that you were an oops baby.
When my parents got married, they both decided they just wanted a little girl. So they were extremely pleased when mom got pregnant and with a little girl. But then mama had a miscarriage with that one. That's fine. They were 2 young kids. They went right back to the drawing board and went back to work. And then had my oldest brother. That's cool. Families with 2 kids are so adorable. We'll try again, and 50-50 chance we'll have a girl. Then comes out my middle brother. Oh, that's fine, you know, because families of 3, they're still adorable. Can you imagine the disappointment when they find out it was me? And you remember the umbilical cord thing? It's like not only did they not get what they want, but they had to kickstart me just so they wouldn't have to pay for a funeral. But they still had time to make magic happen, so they went back to work and then finally got the little girl. So I'm not like a oops baby, but I am like the last disappointment.
Tell me that you were an oops baby without.
Wow, have I got a fucking wild story. So imagine being Aboriginal, but your mom doesn't like Aboriginals. Yeah, so these are actual texts from my mother. Pause it, read them. I've got plenty more to show you. Yep, here's another one. Once again, pause it, read it, take as much time as you want. You know what? I actually think this is the kindest one she sent to me. But sarcastic joking mechanisms aside, if you have abusive, toxic parents, you are well within your rights to leave. They have a duty of care, and if breached severely enough, it can leave you screwed up for life or a long time, you know? It did me. But I've found friends who are like a second family, you know, like brothers, sisters, and I'm loved. And I'm grateful. So please, leave. You're worth more than you know.
An oops baby without actually telling me that you were an oops.
My mom found out she was pregnant with me the night before she was supposed to go in to get her tubes tied. And the nurse called her to tell her that she couldn't get the procedure done because she was pregnant. And all my mom could say to the nurse was, "Fuck you, that's not funny."
Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually
My time to shine. So, my dad had a vasectomy 2 years before I was born. He's only ever had boys. He's never had a girl. My poor mom. He was accusing her of cheating straight up and down, saying, no, there's no way. There's no way I've had a vasectomy. And then when they found out that I was a girl, he was like, see, I knew you were cheating on me because I only make boys, I don't make girls. But the day I was born, he took one look at this lovely mug and was all like, it is mine. I am the spitting image of my dad in female form. After I was born, he went back to go get tested. He was still producing 2% live sperm. Yeah, that just makes me feel so much better, right? That I'm not particularly an oopsie. I'm all like, oh fuck. And I have made it their problem ever since. Well, I can't particularly make it their problem anymore. They're both dead. No, morbid.
tell me that you were an oops baby without actually
This is my mother. Not only is she physically beautiful, but she also has a beautiful soul, and she's the nicest person that's ever existed. This is my dad. One time he offered me a hit of a dab pen when I was driving. When I was a kid, he asked me to draw a star, and then he got mad at me that it wasn't the Star of David. Like, I didn't even know I was supposed to draw the Star of David. Plus, I don't even think he's Jewish. He called me at midnight one time, saying I had to pick him up from this random ditch on the side of the road because he took acid and saw a monster and ran out of the house. When I was like 5, he only listened to Gin and Juice, the country version, on repeat for like a year. That's the only song he listened to. Just in case you're not getting it, this is my mom around the time I was born. That's me.
tell me that you were an oops baby without actually telling me.
So to start this off, my oldest brother and I are 18 years apart. All 3 of my siblings are 2 years apart from each other. As I've said in a previous video, that my mother had me at 44. My wife's mother and my brother went to school together. I was born after my mother got her tubes tied. Like I said, at her being 44 years old. By all means, I should not be here right now. I grew up basically having 5 parents, because by the time I was out of diapers, all my siblings were out of high school, which is probably why I'm the big black sheep of the family, and why I don't get along with any of them. And just to add insult to injury, my brother was my principal growing up in high school. So when I said I grew up with 5 parents, I grew up with 5 parents and I didn't get away with shit. So yeah, calling me an oops baby is putting it fucking mildly.
Tell me that you were an oops baby without actually
My dad told me that I went to a party with him and went home with my mom. So, oops.